Welcome to the From Lab to Patient, Garage to Market podcast with your host, Phil Crowley. In each episode, we will discuss professionals serving the tech startup market and the various issues of importance to those companies. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, CrowleyLawLLC.com. Now here's the host of From Lab to Patient, Garage to Market, Phil Crowley.
Hello and welcome, and thanks for tuning into our podcast. You know that we try to bring to you in each of our episodes leaders in the technology and life sciences areas, people who have experience to share to enrich your understanding of the process of developing products and technologies, and then also some of the stories, the do's, the don'ts, how to demystify the process. Today, I'm delighted to have with us Judith Sheft, who's the Executive Director of the New Jersey Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, a group in the state of New Jersey that's really focused on the gravamen of what many of you are involved in. I'm sure she's got some great stories and experiences to share with us today. Judith, welcome.
Thank you, Phil. It's a real delight to be here and chat with you and your audience.
Well, thank you so much. Could you tell us a little bit about the commission? How is it formed? What's its primary focus?
Sure. The Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology is really focused on early stage, innovation intensive startup companies. And we provide a series of support programs, non-dilutive grant funding to those companies to help propel them along their commercialization journey. We have a real affinity for working with startups from our academic institutions, as well as promoting the interface between our higher ed institutions and companies to be able to really leverage the capability of our academic institutions to, again, help make New Jersey the home of innovation.
Boy, that is really a tall order and a great focus for your activity. How do companies come to your attention? How do they apply to the Commission for help? And what sorts of help is available?
So we have a number of different ways. We do a lot of outreach to companies through social media, working with the business incubators, business accelerator programs around the state, as well as connections to various service providers such as yourself, as well as angel and VC investors within the New Jersey community. We have a website. People can go to the website, find out information about our programs, but we're also very open. My team the CSIT team is pretty small. There's 4 of us on the team. We're happy to take phone calls, emails from individuals who'd like to talk about where they are in their commercialization journey. And honestly, we find that even a short 15, 20-minute conversation will allow us to direct them to the right sort of resources that we have, as well as connect them to other resources more broadly in the innovation ecosystem within New Jersey. Because again, it can be sometimes a little challenging to navigate all of the different pathways.
What telephone number can they call to get connected with you?
They can call, our cell phone number is 609-462-0560, or they can email us at CSIT@njcsit.gov.
All right, those seem to be some really important items of contact information to get to understand better the programs that are available. You know, one of the things I like about what you do in that regard, Judith, is to help guide people into the programs that are most relevant for them, because as with many government programs, there's so many individual types of help that's available that sometimes it can be very confusing for innovators to try to figure out whether they comply with the program requirements. And if they do, which programs would best benefit them? Can you give us an overview of the kinds of programs that are available from CSIT?
Sure. We have a suite of 11 programs that really boil down to 4 different types of programs. One of our most popular programs is an R&D Voucher Program, which provides companies funding to access specialized equipment, data sets, and facilities at New Jersey academic institutions. So again, a small startup company might want to be able to use a microscope at Stevens University, where Stevens has a wave tank, and they'd like to be able to test their innovation in that wave tank. Or maybe they're in the life sciences area and they like to do some early animal testing. Both Rutgers, Princeton, as well as Rowan down in South Jersey have some animal testing facilities through some of the hospitals. And again, we can help get them connected with those resources. What we find is that we tell companies apply to the voucher program, and we have 2 versions. We have a clean tech version for companies working on something that's going to reduce or mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, and then a catalyst version, which is everything else. The company will complete an initial part of the application saying, this is what I'd like to do. Here's where I need help. They may or may not know what university has a specific piece of equipment or makerspace that they'd like to use. If they don't know, that's fine, because we run a call every 2 weeks with all of our academic partners discussing the projects that have come in, and we make a match, almost like a matchmaker, between the company and a core facility to really work out the details of the program. Once a scope of work has been developed, the company will come back to us and we'll negotiate the final contract with them. They'll do the work with the academic partner. When the project is finished, we pay the company, and the company then reimburses the academic institution. It has been an extremely, extremely popular program, and companies are using everything from maker spaces at Rutgers and NJIT to material characterization instrumentation at Princeton and NJIT and facilities at Rowan. And we really try to get people matched up to find a way to make these projects work.
Well, I think that your description of being a matchmaker is certainly appropriate in that regard, because there is just so much intellectual capital and specialized scientific machinery in the institutions within New Jersey that it's great to have a centralized place where innovators can go, find out where they can access the equipment they need, and typically they can't afford on their small budgets.
Right.
What other...
And that program operates on a rolling basis, so there's not a defined deadline that a company needs to work towards. Because again, companies come in, they apply on a rolling basis, and they get approved. Really, as soon as a company gets approved, they're able to move ahead. The other rolling program that we have is around our SBIR and STTR programs. So that is to support companies who have received funding from the federal government. The federal government's program, Small Business Innovation and Research, provides up to $4 billion a year on an annual basis to startup companies. It's a huge amount of money that goes out. There's 11 federal agencies that are involved, with the largest being the Department of Defense, Health and Human Services, Department of Energy, National Science Foundation, Transportation, Education, Agriculture, and so forth. And it can be confusing for companies to know, how do I go access some of that federal money? So there's 2 ways that we can help them. We have provided support through the small business development centers to be able to coach people on what are the certifications I need to do, how do I apply, how do I fill out all of the forms. And then we have a special program where we've given the Small Business Development Centers some funding to do a phase 0 grant writing assistance, where they will really even help someone organize their particular scientific proposal that they are submitting. It's, again, a very popular program. And then once the company gets their federal funding, they can come back to the commission for some direct financial support matching dollars. So for companies who've received a phase 1 award, they can come back for an additional $25,000. And for companies who are in phase 1 and phase 2, they can apply for $50,000. We work with a number of the incubators as well throughout the state. And in early April, the Bio Center Princeton Innovation Biolabs is going to be hosting an SBIR workshop. One of the program managers from Washington, D.C. is going to come up and present a program talking about specifically life sciences in the SBIR program. And companies will be able to sign up and have one-on-one appointments with the program officer from the federal government, which is really great opportunity. Some of the other support through the Small Business Development Center is done online. There's a number of online videos and supports as well. So that,
like, you're really involved in educating innovators about the resources that are available, not only at the state level, but also at the federal level. For those of our listeners who may not be familiar with SBIR and STTR programs, can you explain a little bit about them and how they can help innovators fund their developments?
Sure. The SBIR and STTR programs, again, are through the federal government. They're administered by the SBA is the administrator for those programs. And each agency who does internal R&D is mandated legislatively to have a portion of their budget made available for small businesses to do research and development work. Most of the agencies have a solicitation period with an open and close date. They will look to see what topics the agency is interested in, and they will submit a proposal saying, I can address this particular innovative proposal that someone has. So NASA might say, hey, I'm looking to find a solution for how can I do better communication from people who are going to be up on spacecraft in Mars communicating back down to the home base on Earth. Or the agriculture department might say, hey, I'm looking for a solution to how do I grow crops better and use less water or less nutrients. So they have a range of different topics that they are looking for, and each applicant will have an opportunity to apply for these awards. The awards on phase 1 can be up to $300,000 of non-dilutive funding for applying for the award. And when you are successful with phase 1, you can apply for phase 2, which could be millions of dollars of awards. Some of the agencies are then also looking to procure the product that's being developed. So as an example, the Department of Defense is particularly interested in solutions that are going to turn into products that they are going to be able to buy to help their agency with its particular mission. Some of the other agencies, such as the National Science Foundation, are just interested in getting technology out to solve particular problems. They are likely not going to be purchasing any of the products. But because there's so many different agencies and it can be confusing, the Small Business Development Center can really help guide and coach people through that process.
Well, that's certainly valuable guidance. And at this point, let me just take a minute to introduce to our listeners Crowley Law. We are a boutique law firm of experienced lawyers who are passionate about helping life sciences and other technology innovators realize their dreams, to take great ideas from the laboratory bench to the patient's bedside, or from the garage to the marketplace, with a view towards improving our societies and improving the quality of life for thousands or even millions of people. As a former research physicist, I did my work in superconductivity. I have a soft spot in my heart for innovators. I know how difficult it is to create new knowledge. And as an experienced corporate lawyer, I understand how difficult it is to take that new knowledge, no matter how good it is, and bring it through all the obstacles that have to be overcome to the marketplace in order to create the products and services that serve our customers. We have a website, Crowley Law LLC.com, at which we have some free resources, FAQs, an ebook that has been particularly popular with my clients and others, called The Top 10 Causes of Failure for Technology Startups and How to Avoid them. So that's a free resource out there, as well as other things. And if you are working on putting together an innovation, creating a company, and have questions, we'd love to talk to you. You can reach us at info@CrowleyLawLLC.com. And just remember, we're here to help. And Judith, going back to federal programs, one of the areas that I have found my clients and innovators generally have trouble with is market analysis and understanding the market. I know that the National Science Foundation has a particular program that focuses on helping innovators, in essence, forcing innovators to do that. Can you talk a little bit about their NSF program?
Sure. I'm sure you are referring to the NSF I-Corps program,
Yeah.
Innovation Corps. And it was started when the National Science Foundation kind of took a look and said, my goodness, we've been funding all of this research work at academic institutions, but not enough of that has been turned into useful products in the marketplace. So they developed a program called I-Corps, which takes people through a period of time to go out and actually talk to customers and try to understand their market needs. And the way you go about it is not to say, look at my innovation. Isn't this great? Isn't it wonderful? But to really listen to customers, to understand what their needs are, and then take a look at what has been developed and determine, is what I've developed something that's going to meet those market needs, or do I need to go back to my lab and make a few more modifications to be able to address what the customers are really looking for? Typically, on some of the longer form programs through the NSF I-Corps, you have to go out and do 100 different customer interviews. Within New Jersey, there is a Northeast I-Corps hub that is being led by Princeton University, but with involvement from many of the other New Jersey universities. And they run a series of short courses, which could be a couple of weeks long, and it's opportunities both for innovators who are coming out of academic institutions, as well as companies who may not initially have an affiliation with a university. The I-Corps program has then moved not only from NSF, but a number of the other federal agencies offer some versions of that program themselves, Department of Energy and Department of Defense, because they find that by talking to customers, you're really going to be able to determine, is what I've developed something that somebody really needs?
Or alternatively, are there, as you mentioned, Judith, are there changes to what we are offering that would be more responsive to what the market needs? In my experience in dealing with startup companies, I find that particularly in presentations to investors, one of the mistakes they make is to start off with a detailed discussion of the technology down to the micro level. And unfortunately, the investors' eyes is over at that point, and it's very difficult to regain their attention. And so I've given my clients and other technology innovators that I mentor a kind of a template for starting their presentation. I call it the MSABC approach, MSABC. And the way to think about that is to start out with M as market. How big is it? How many dollars are being spent? How many patients or customers are being served? And importantly, what is the market not providing? Presumably something that you did describe you're going to provide. And then, particularly in the life sciences, understanding who the stakeholders are. It's clearly the patients and the patients, but also importantly is payers, and understanding how your particular innovation can reduce overall costs in the healthcare system. And it's only after you've gotten through that you can begin to talk about A, what is your approach at a 30,000 foot level? B, what are the benefits compared to what is not being provided in the marketplace? And C, who the competition is. And I think it's very important in speaking to investors to recognize that there is competition, even if it's simply inertia. Because in the medical products field, particularly, I've heard the old saw of physicians, be not the first to adopt the new therapy or the last to abandon the old. So there's a sweet spot in terms of adopting technology that people have to understand. And I think that your description of the I-Corps program, and also your work in interacting with innovators, is incredibly important in focusing them on taking the technology not just as a neat idea, but as an idea that can solve real world problems that are not being adequately dealt with in the marketplace today. Well, you see an awful lot. I frequently refer to you in a very complimentary way, Judith, as the Energizer Bunny in New Jersey, because you go around to so many meetings and try to help people understand what New Jersey has to offer for them. And I was wondering what you see as the hot areas, the areas that are growing tremendously in the state of New Jersey right now.
So as we've taken a look at the innovations that we're seeing, clearly New Jersey is strong in life sciences. You know, we're the pharma capital of the world, and we see startups in the pharma space, everything from people who had been in big pharma and have now started career 2.0 or 3.0 with a startup company, as well as individuals who are kind of fresh out of college who are starting life sciences companies. So life sciences is clearly big and important in New Jersey. Clean tech is another area that we're seeing a lot of interest around power technology, recycling, battery recycling technologies, as well as food and ag innovations. And then the last area, and clearly Governor Murphy has been spending a lot of time and attention in this area, has been on artificial intelligence, AI kinds of activities, fintech activities as well. If we look at the strategic innovation centers that have been set up within New Jersey, so a lot of new, exciting technology that is coming forward. And really to compliment you on your point, when people talk to me, you want to know, like, as you say, what is the problem you're solving? What is out there? Where are you currently stuck? At some point, yes, we will want to do technical due diligence, verify that you've not developed the perpetual motion. We need to get there on the first go around. We want to be able to understand in a relatively simple fashion. Sometimes I'll say, pretend you're explaining it to your grandmother. What is it that you're developing? And part of the reason we want to be able to do that is so we can also help facilitate other connections between companies who may be able to work together. And I got to tell you, I was talking to one of the companies that I work with. I was at their space and I saw they were working on some HVAC systems, and I saw this big system that they had, and I looked at it and I said, this looks like a system that one of the other companies I've supported has been using, and they're working also on HVAC systems, but they're doing some work around sensor technology where the other people were doing like a cleaning technology. I said, let me introduce the two of you to see if there's an opportunity for you guys to work together. So a lot of what we also want to do at the commission, help facilitate connections to see where are there other opportunities to help companies leverage particular resources. Some of the other resources that are not only ones from the commission, but are ones from the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education and the Department of Labor are workforce training grants. Again, they can help companies bring on hire interns and get some of those salaries paid for by the government. There's a program through the New Jersey Department of Labor that helps companies bring on postdocs, and will cover a good portion of the postdoc salary for a couple of years. As a young company, it's not only money that you want, it's talent that you need.
Right.
To your point, it's the connection, it's the mentoring, it's the resources to help guide you through the ecosystem that can be so important.
Well, it's an important role that you play in focusing people on all of those connections. Certainly in the life sciences area, there are many, many opportunities for collaboration, and the need for collaboration by big pharma and big biotech, which are trying to fill their pipelines with new products, and the smaller company getting the benefit of all the expertise that the larger companies have in regulatory affairs, clinical development, conduct of supervision of clinical trials, statistical analysis, that it could be prohibitively expensive for a small company to afford that. And so the opportunities for collaboration can be extremely important in that regard. But Judith, tell me, what is it that you like most about what you do?
I think what I like most about what I do is just every day is different. Every day I'm getting a chance to talk to some of the exciting innovators who are living in New Jersey or thinking about moving to New Jersey, learning about the things that they are doing. And I just love watching their successes as they grow. One of the companies that we've supported in the past, a company called Curio Therapeutics, has developed a digital therapy for women suffering from postpartum depression. And a number of months ago, they recently got FDA approval as therapy for their device. So that was really heartwarming. Other companies have moved. I remember talking to a company, Renew CO2, which is a spin out of Rutgers University. It's a chemical manufacturing company. I remember speaking to them when I first joined the commission, and it was in the beginning part of COVID, and the professor who had started the business was working out of his apartment, and they now have a 15 square foot facility in Somerset, New Jersey, and they've raised a lot of money now from the Department of Energy. One of the other resources I'd like to mention is a website that we manage called Research with New Jersey, which allows companies of any size to search on technical keywords and find faculty at New Jersey University, patents, publications, papers, facilities to really help drive that collaborative infrastructure. We don't want people to feel like our universities are hidden behind ivory-covered walls, that you can really get in there, find people who are willing and very anxious to work with you.
Judith, would you give us that website again, and also the website for the commission itself, so people can have an opportunity to write this down and access these really valuable resources?
So at the moment, we're in the process of updating our website, but currently they can go to www.njeda.com/CSIT and get to the CSIT page. We're in the process, as I said, of updating and getting a new address shortly. And the other address is, if they just Google Research with New Jersey, they'll get to the page for the Research with New Jersey portal.
And the URL for the EDA is www.njeda.gov or .org?
.gov/CSIT.
Terrific. It's wonderful. Great resources for our listeners. Well, the time has flown by, Judith. I want to thank you again for sharing your expertise, these wonderful programs, and the work of the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. And I certainly recommend that to our listeners. Also, I recommend our podcast series. I hope you will subscribe to it, listen to it, and if you have questions, please contact us at info@CrowleyLawLLC.com. We're here to help. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Phil.
You've been tuning into the From Lab to Patient, Garage to Market podcast with your host, Phil Crowley. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, CrowleyLawLLC.com. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe, like, leave a positive review, and share with others.